Well, welcome everybody. It's been a while. How do you like my new starting screen? It just Clip Studio Paint because I wanna draw some things before we start and go to the code side of things. Hi everybody. So, if you only 18 people. 18 people is a lot of people. But if you don't remember the previous live stream, we had some issues with latency, and currently I'm experimenting with the lowest latency setting. See if it's gonna help. So if you can like write 7 in chat so that I can see how long it takes. I know it's very professional. Oh my god, it's actually quite fast. Okay, all right, that's cool. So now you need to keep an eye out when it comes to the quality. I'm new to the live stream. Latency seems perfect. Okay. Yeah, so just, don't be afraid to like inform me when something goes wrong. This is far from being professional and so on. You may be thinking, okay, Jacob, you could have tested that like before the live stream. And I know that, but I always forget about this. Anyway, what time is it? Oh, it's almost time to start. I think the link in the Discord is wrong. That's impossible. Hold on a second, I'm checking it. I need to reopen Discord because I closed it. Oh yeah, it's motion canvas. It's the wrong live stream. Give me a second, I'm gonna fix the link. Thanks for letting me know, by the way. All right, I'm back. All my subscriptions going live, though. Okay. It's actually, I was actually considering rescheduling my live stream for like a later hour, but I'll be making a poll about that. Because I feel like it would be less distracting to me, since I live next to a playground and I can hear kids screaming outside, and it's like, oh my god. But 5 hours from now is gonna be midnight on my side. So then they probably go to sleep, I hope. Anyway, it's not important right now. Your videos are god tier, but your channel name is really hard to find in search engines, lol. Yes, it is true. Listen, I was young and stupid when I picked the name 3 years ago. Well, there's no going back right now. At least now if you search in YouTube, I believe it doesn't say like, did you mean artificial and like, the correct spelling or artificial. It doesn't say it anymore. It shows my channel. So that's a progress. Can't you change? But I don't wanna. I'm like invested emotionally into it, to it, however you say that. Okay, I think we can go to the gist of it. So first of all, don't change. It's a great name. Yeah, I think so too. First of all, okay. By the way, before I start, I won't be answering any questions not related to what I'm talking at currently, because during the previous live stream I kept going on all of these weird tangents because you would ask a question, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna answer this, and then 15 minutes later, I forget what I was talking about initially. So I'm gonna ignore your questions. I'm gonna be really mean, and then at the end of the live stream we're gonna go back to them, and then I'm gonna try to answer them. Or if you have any questions, just wait with them if you can until the end of the stream. Anyway, so one thing that I feel like a lot of people might have gotten wrong from the previous video is the idea that I'd use Cartographer for every single level in the game, which is not the case, not something that I initially wanted. As I said in the video, my main problem with directed levels is that there's too many of them, right? I don't have an issue with directed levels in general or with backtracking in general, because that's something that also a few people assume that I want to eliminate backtracking entirely. Like, no, I was talking about unnecessary backtracking, right? So places where you can eliminate some of it. But, all of these things, directed levels, backtracking, etc., they are part of world design in general, and it's not something that you can just get rid of. So yeah, the idea with Cartographer is to reduce the amount of directed levels, not turning every single level into a Schrödinger one. So with that out of the way, I should have made a list. I never prepare myself for these live streams. One question that a lot of people asked was, what's going to happen if I go to the left first and then decide to, well, I'm actually not interested in this level, I'm going to go back to the other one, right? This is my second entrance. What's going to happen is that this level would resolve to become directed from top to bottom, and this would do the same thing as well. So we're back to the square one, right? And there's a few things that we can do with that. One interesting idea that people had was to have some sort of a condition when a room should become like collapsed. So if the player has interacted with it, for instance, or if the puzzle has been solved, only then we want to keep this room this way. Otherwise, we don't resolve it in any way. I can't undo that. We don't resolve it, and then when we go here and go back there, the room changes. This wouldn't be invisible, to the player, but it would do the job, right, with fixing it. I don't know how I feel about that. This is something that I would need to like try out in practice and see if it would work. Another idea that people had was to kind of entangle these two levels together. So if you enter this one, take a peek here, it will resolve to being directed from top to bottom, and this one will resolve to be directed from bottom to top immediately in the same time. So if you then go back here, it doesn't really matter because this has been picked for you. And people took that to even like an extreme, where they suggested to not create variants of these two levels, but simply swap them. So depending to where the player goes, we're just gonna either use the left version or the right version. And I hate it. I also detest it. And it reminds me that I wanted to talk about this in the video. A year ago, when I initially came up with this idea, I was thinking about the video back then, and I had a section in my head of the video where I talk about abusing the system. And in my opinion, this is an example of that, where you're giving the player an illusion of choice, even though there's no choice here. They will always go to the level you want them to go, which is, again, not something that I don't say that it's wrong. It's not something that I want to go for. the rooms in the middle would have to be symmetrical then, right? No, the rooms in the middle, in my example, they didn't contain any puzzles, so it doesn't matter. There was no puzzle here or there or here, only in the left and right. And that's like another thing about Astortion, right? That not every room's gonna have a puzzle. Most of them will, but not every. This sounds like wave function collapse. I do not have the knowledge to comment on that. It may be, but I don't know wave function collapse too well. It seems to me like it's a very specific case of wave function collapse. But I don't know. Wave function collapse is really fun. I saw a few videos about it where people like generated cities and so on. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna switch to coding. I need to do some rearranging on my desktop really quick. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about, to clarify, it sounds like you could use wave function collapse to create a set of conditions for each room depending on the player's choices of movement, backtracking. The player choices of movement / backtracking. And depending how complex that would be, right? How many, like, could the movement from like 3 levels ago influence the choice of the next level, right? So that would, seems like it would quickly go out of control when it comes to validating whether or not, you know, a certain road is even possible to perform and it doesn't soft lock you. Has YouTube just been going crazy recommending wave function collapse for everyone? I don't know. I remember seeing it like a year or 2 ago, actually. There's that doggy in the corridor. Anyway, now we're gonna take a look at Typewriter and the source code of it. So Typewriter, I've made 3 videos about it, but to kind of recap what I've been talking about, at the core of Typewriter is an entry. Typewriter essentially is a database of symbols. And these symbols are represented by entries. And when I say symbol, what I mean is that it's a combination of machine-readable ID, in this case it's a 32-bit integer, and a human-readable key. And the reason for that, this is, in my opinion, an improvement over what they used in Firewatch, because they were using raw strings to identify everything. And in my opinion, I don't know. I mean, they managed to make a game with it, so it's probably good enough. But I wanted to have something more robust. So strings and the key here is only being used as something in the editor to show to the user what kind of entry this is. IDs are used by the system to reference everything, and they don't change. And now, from all of these entries, there's lots of other entries that are being derived. We have the event entry, rule entry, and fact entry, which are the 3 basic types, and you can derive them further. These entries are then grouped in tables. A table is a scriptable object with 3 lists. Each of these lists has this serialized reference attribute. And I don't know if you're familiar with it, but usually, I have an example even. Look how well prepared I am. Usually, we have a scriptable object here, right? The scriptable object declares 1 additional class, which is serializable. It has a name and an ID. And the scriptable object itself has a list of this class. So now, if I open it in the editor, it's right here. You can see that I currently created 3 elements, gave them names and IDs. And upon saving, Unity is gonna saved it to this asset file. And this is a YAML, I hope that's how you pronounce that, file that represents the serialized data. You're going really fast. Usually in your videos, I can pause and rewind, but the live streams aren't so simple. Slow it down for those of us who are falling behind, please. Okay. Listen, I'm gonna try. It's because I'm stressed, you know? It's like, I wish I could go slower, but for some reason, that's my natural reaction. I like how, why did you write YAML in the chat? How does it help me pronouncing that, the word? YAML. Anyway, okay, so going back, we have an entry class, and we have a table that contains 3 lists of these entries. And now we're talking about the serialized reference attribute. Just making sure we're talking about the same thing. Yes, that's the file type. So we have this scriptable object, and we declared a class inside of it with a name and an ID. And the scriptable object itself has one field, which is a list of elements, and it's serialized. And in the editor, this is how it looks like by default. I added 3 entries here to show you how it's going to look like when I save this file. Because I have Unity set up to store everything in... No, that doesn't matter. Don't listen to me. It always serializes it this way. YAML is JSON, but with tab delimited hierarchy instead of curly braces. Yes, YAML is JSON, but for Python people, essentially. And now in the file structure, you can see that this asset that I created here in Unity is represented by this file called listexample.asset, and this is how scriptable objects are stored. And this is the representation of this object. This is being used to save this, saved it on the disk, and then whenever you open Unity, it's going to load it. I'm not going to go over how YAML works, but here you can see that our field called elements contains a list of 3 elements with name 1, ID 1, name 2, ID 2, name 3, ID 3. So what I want to show you here is that there is no type information regarding this thing. We don't know what kind of class this is. We know that this is an element class, but it's not being stored in the file. And essentially, when we deserialize this class at runtime, the runtime is going to check what kind of field this elements field is. And in this case, it's a list of elements, and it's going to say, okay, this is an element. So now I know that every single one of these entries has to be an element, and it's going to get, it's going to create an element instance for every single one of these entries, and it's going to put these values to the respecting fields. So to the name and to the ID field. The problem here is that it doesn't work with polymorphism. If I were to create like a new class, if I could type, so why is it highlighting? Oh yeah, I want to make it serializable as well. If I were to extend this element class using a derived class, I can, by all means, I can put an instance of the derived class inside of this list. This is how polymorphism works, because the instance of the derived class can be treated as the base class. But the problem is that Unity doesn't serialize the class that's being stored inside of this, this list. So what's going to happen is we're going to lose all of this information about the value here. This value is not going to be added here. And when it gets deserialized, we're going to get an instance of the element class and not of the derived class. And this is where serialized reference comes to rescue. Because serialized reference what it's gonna do is gonna actually store the class information. I'm gonna show you how it looks like. Hopefully somewhere here. So this is a scriptable object that represents the table, right? Again, table has 3 lists: rules, facts, and events. And here you can see that rules, instead of storing the data, it stores a reference ID to this object. And then later on in the references list, it stores all of the objects inside of this list. So if I want to take a look at what kind of object this is, I can look for this reference ID. This is the first one. And here you can see that it does store the class information. It stores the name of the class, it stores the namespace, and it stores the assembly that this class comes from. And then when the serialization happens, Unity is capable of instantiating this specific class. If you store polymorphic elements as scriptable objects, then you can put those in a list and have it serialize the correct thing. Yes, because serialized objects, by their very nature, they're going to be stored as a reference. They're going to be stored as their ID, used internally by Unity. But we're talking about classes that are nested inside, because with Typewriter, we're talking about lines of dialogue. So you can expect, I believe that in Firewatch, they had like 30,000 lines of dialogue. Right, so that's not something that I would try to store using scriptable objects for every single line of dialogue. Fortunately, serialized reference, this is not my attribute. This is like a Unity, provided by Unity attribute. And it works perfect for this situation. So because of this, people can extend and provide their own entry files. I'm gonna fetch myself a drink. Give me a second. There's a typo in entry remove from table. Yes, there is. Shush, it's not important. Now the entire system is gonna stop working. Again, I'm reminding you, I'm not answering any questions not related to what I'm talking about. We're gonna go back to them later. So the reason why I needed to be able to extend these classes, these entry classes, is because from the get-go, when I designed Typewriter, I wanted it to be abstract. Does it make sense? Not abstract, universal, usable in more than Astortion. And there's a lot of things about Astortion and about the dialogue in here that's very specific to Astortion, right? For instance, if we take a look at any dialogue rule, we have the reanimator node, because I can override the current animation that's being generic. Generic is a flexible, also very good name, very good word. Loss of vocabulary. We have a speaker, also very specific to Astortion and my implementation of the dialogue. We have the talking speed, right? You get the gist of it. So I wanted to let people create their own classes for Typewriter. And Cartographer, as you're gonna see in just a second, also uses this functionality. So going back to our rule entry, for instance, it is extended by dialog rule entry. And this one is actually defined in the Astortion assembly, in the main game assembly. This is not part of Typewriter. And it extends Astortion rule entry base, which extends text rule entry. This is not necessary. I'm gonna get rid of that. I need to do some refactoring. Don't worry about that. The point is that you can extend rules. Somebody asked for the side between Godot and Unity. I knew this engine is Unity. We're gonna talk about that, about Godot and Unity after I go through this, because it's an interesting topic. Anyway, Typewriter seems to have grown from a dialog system to a dual database system. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about this once we get to Cartographer a little bit more. You can extend an entry, and then if I go to the editor namespace, you can also provide a custom descriptor for this entry. And the way it works is really similar to custom property drawers. So you define this attribute, custom entry descriptor for dialog rule entry. And this allows you to interact with the typewriter editor. So you can say, I want the name of this entry to be dialog. And because of that, when I go to typewriter, you can see that it shows dialog on the right. Scene entries show scene, dialog shows dialog. Similarly, let's go to the base class so you can see everything that can be set here. You can set a custom name and set a custom color, whether or not it has customization. Customization is this tab here with criteria modifications on start, on end. For example, facts and passages don't have this because they don't need it. Similarly, you can decide whether or not it should have the navigation. Navigation is here on the top. It allows you to go to the previous entry or to the alternative versions of this entry or to the next. So again, things like facts, they don't really have that because it doesn't make sense in their regards. When we go to dialogue, for instance, here alternative versions make sense because they're gonna depend on what's happening on the scene. I can see what triggers this dialogue. I can see right now we're in this on instructions event. I can see which dialogues can be triggered by this event and so on. It's like a very simple thing to implement, and it gives a lot of insight. And again, Cartographer uses it, for instance, in passages. You can choose an alternative passage, so you can essentially switch between all the passages in this scene, right? If I were to create a new passage and call it like example, for instance, now you're gonna see that it's here in the menu because it's a passage, so it's there by default. And then you can override how this navigator is being generated. So you can hook up into the system and provide your own list of names and IDs that you want to go to. So that's the idea behind the descriptor. With all of this out of the way, which is a sentence that I keep repeating for no reason, let's take a look at Cartographer. Because Cartographer, if we take a look at the runtime, it's literally 5 classes. It's a scene table that extends the database table, and it has the method that uses the database to look for the scene that matches a given criteria. We have the world area, which is a scriptable object that defines the current area. Currently, it doesn't really do anything. It has the title that's being displayed in the main menu, and it has the palette. Palette? I don't know how to put accent on that. For colors, but this is work in progress. Currently, it only has one color, which is the main color. But you can see, if I go back to Unity, if you don't remember what a palette is, because I talked about this, you can see that this anchor is green, but this anchor is red. And this is because they are in different areas. Currently, we are in the underground area, and when we leave, here we are in the overworld area, I believe. I can feel my throat dying on me. not used to talking so much. And then the other classes is the passage fact entry, which extends a fact entry. And again, there's nothing really special here. And then the scene rule entry, which it's literally a rule entry with the path. Is the coloring of anchors done automatically using some sort of theme system? Yes, that's what I was explaining. Each area has a palette, and this palette is being used, but it's work in progress, and I'm gonna use probably like shader level palettes for that. This is gonna be a video about that, don't worry. But that's not ready yet. You'll be able to use palettes to implement colorblind modes, right? Or do you have other plans for that? Yes, I should be able to do that. The general vibe of Astortion is like a very monochromatic grayish backgrounds with one accent color, because I gave up on the idea of using colors to distinguish different inputs and whatever, because I don't like that idea anymore. A lot of people pointed out like, hey, that's not particularly accessible. And from the visual aspect, I also don't like it. What is the scene path attribute? Scene path attribute is something that I should make more. I should make it more generic. It's an attribute. Here it is. And it has a property drawer that essentially allows me to drag and drop a Unity scene. You can find that on Unity's website. You should invest in Crisp Audio. It's a desktop app that uses AI to denoise your microphone. Would really eliminate the playground noise. Just a creator tip. Thanks. Again, I feel like it's much easier to just stream at night, you know, from my perspective. But I'll take a look at it. Portal 2 used shapes for the logic signals instead of colors. Portal 2 had like entire cables going on walls, right? Like circular ones. I can do that because I have a parallax effect. You think I wouldn't stole that from Portal? Unfortunately, because the background is moving at a different rate, I can't really put a line in the sky, you know what I'm saying? So this is the scene path property. I can show you it here. This is it, essentially. I can press on it and it gives me a list of scenes. Or I can drag and drop a scene from here, and it also works. Not with that attitude, you can't. In the editor, you can choose between end lines and shapes. Oh, I didn't know that. I need to take a look at this. See, I'm such a pseudo fan of Portal. I don't even know that. Okay, no, tangent, Jacob, focus. We're going back. So this is Cartographer in its essence. Like the runtime of Cartographer is pretty much it. We can go back to the scene table. How this works. At the very beginning, the first thing it does, it finds the Blackboard entry. And Blackboards are used to store data about the world using the facts from Typewriter. So it finds the Blackboard, it gets the value for this fact, and if it's saved, this means that this scene has been previously resolved, and we can just like try to get it and return it instead. Otherwise, we use the database again. Try-get rule is this method that this is very interesting. Don't look at it. This is responsible for shuffling stuff. It's not ready yet. But this is, you would have to go back to the Typewriter video ideally because it explains it much more. But this finds the most suitable entry for current state of the world. Why am I talking so weirdly? Are you going to put that scene path editor out as a package? No, it doesn't deserve to be a package. You can, look, hold on. Hold on. This is literally this. Scene asset. Google it on Unity. This is literally this. There's like, I don't see the point in, you know, making this into a package. Anyway. I was about to say your code looks so clean. Listen, it's one... Anyway. Much more interesting part of Cartographer is obviously the editor, right? But it's also not that complex. I have the Cartographer graph view. It extends the graph view. I'm adding some manipulators. These are things responsible. This is everything from Unity, right? It's responsible for, you know, dragging, scaling, zooming. This is a method that it checks if ports are suitable for each other. Compatible, that's the word. So the node has to be different. So the scene, node in this context is the scene. Direction has to be different and orientation needs to be the same. And it also dispatches an event whenever I select a node. So this way, if I'm in Cartographer, if I select this, you can see that Typewriter immediately highlights the scene. And that's pretty much the entire graph view out of the way. And then I have a node, which is responsible for rendering this node because I had to do some custom styling. Unity doesn't really support putting ports on the bottom in their default node, so I had to kind of do that. I can show you if I create a new passage, for instance. Let's call it left for the sake of clarity, and it's gonna lead to the left. Now if I refresh this, it's gonna appear here on the left. Unfortunately, I still need to figure out a correct way to notify Cartographer that Typewriter has changed something so that it automatically refreshes. Currently, I need to press a button. So room cannot lead to itself. No. I'm thinking about this. Hold on a second. It could. Yeah, because I can go here and I can be like, you know what? I'm just gonna manually set it to scene A door. And now it leads to itself. It's just that the editor probably is gonna crash. So don't do that. What was it? It was scene B door. So there's a lot of limitations when it comes to the graph view itself. For instance, I can do something like this. I can connect this node to this node because Unity also doesn't support that yet. Maybe they're gonna. Currently, it doesn't really work. Yeah, you started a message with, "Hey Jacob, don't look now," and I looked immediately. So yeah, there's a node, and then there's a passage extends port, and that's it. There's actually an interesting thing on the horizon. Hold on. I haven't checked this yet. But there's this thing, right? GraphTools Foundation package. I don't know what it is about. But it's essentially it aims to provide like a unified way, right, of creating graph tools and editors. So maybe I'm gonna switch to that. I mean, it also uses graph view, right? It's like I need to check what it actually provides. But it's interesting to know. I had a lot of trouble finding documentation of the graph system. How did you find out how the system works? It's really simple, actually. There's the read-only packages, and somewhere here, hold on, I'm gonna find it. Or maybe it's not here, but you can, the code for the shader graph is available online because it's written in C#. So it's like, it's not open source, but it's the source code is available, so we can take a look. I usually do that. I just take a look at Unity's tools. Same thing with Typewriter. This whole picker for different facts and events, it's exactly the same as the picker for dialog from the internalization package, localization package, excuse me. Right? You can see the similarities. So I just took a look at the source code, saw how it works, and made my own version. I rarely use documentation. I'm more of a code reader, if that makes sense. Unity preview packages really hit different. You're talking about this yellow warning here, or? I think has up-down ports. Yes, but they have it's not the node from the graph view. It's not the basic node. They have a custom class from the package, right? So the thing about the source code is that usually source code is there, right? It's documentation, really questionable. Sometimes it's not there, it's not gonna be there. And even if it is, it's usually kind of behind and whatever. The source code never lies. It's just my take on that. All right, one thing that I haven't talked about is how facts in Typewriter are being referenced. So if we go to the Cartographer passage fact entry, you can see that here we have a field of type entry reference, and this entry reference comes from Typewriter, and it's essentially an ID. There's nothing else. A bunch of methods for making comparison and stuff like that easier, but it's just the ID that refers to an entry in the Typewriter database, and it gets this cool little selection tree view, right? So now if I go to my example here really quick, I'm gonna add an entry like this. It's entry reference entry. Now I added this field, and in the inspector, it's automatically visible right there. And on top of that, I can add an attribute called entry filter, and it allows me to specify some more information about the speaker. So I can say, for instance, that I want the type to be a fact. And now if I go back, we're gonna wait some time between these examples. Now it only shows me the facts. So you can tell, but there's no menu here. Maybe I'm gonna create two, show you side by side. So this one allows me to choose facts, events, and rules. And I have this little filter that allows me to specify which one I want to see. Now I only see rules. Here I only see events. Here I only see facts. This one doesn't give me that. It expects only a fact, and this is the only thing that you can pick here. And there's some more stuff, like you can allow it to be empty, you can use a table name, you can use a base class, so it's not even a type. You can use like a passage fact entry as the a type of. And now it will only show me the passages and nothing else. How can we create our own filters? Aside from what is here, you cannot. I may think about this, but currently this is the only thing that's possible. And from other things that are provided by Typewriter, we have these tools here. Stuff such as typewriter criteria, a typewriter event. And this can also be used as a field in any class. So I'm gonna quickly use the typewriter criteria. And now this is the same criteria that you can edit here in the criteria tab or modifications tab. Only it's available to you from the code. So assuming that we have the on enable, for instance, I can now write criteria that test. And if I pass the database that I'm interested in, it's gonna return either false or true, depending on whether or not these criteria are matched. Are facts pretty much just variables in typewriter entries, or have I missed something? Pretty much, yeah. The only interesting thing about facts is that as any base entry, they have a scope, and scope decides from where to look up. In Astortion, I'm using 4 scopes. There's the global scope, the area scope, the scene scope, and the temporary scope. So the same fact being used to refer to a blackboard from 2 different scenes gonna return 2 different values. This is something, again, from Firewatch, right? From the talk about Firewatch and their dialogue system. But yeah, facts are literally just like variables. You can set and you can query them. The idea is that you don't need to write code. You can create all of the criteria in the editor. From other things, there's also the typewriter event. So it allows you to listen to events triggered by, well, literally anything can trigger a typewriter event. And typewriter event is literally just, if I can find it, it's just an ID with the blackboard. And this is like the main way dialogue system communicates with each other. How, like, when you enter a specific area and you want the player to start talking, you're gonna trigger an event, and then the dialogue sequencer is gonna be like, oh, there was an event and I'm currently free, so I can start displaying this dialogue. Yeah, that's not, but most of these things are not really related to Cartographer currently. I'm thinking if there's something else that I wanted to talk about. Oh, integration with the localization package. for instance, is another cool thing that I like about Typewriter, because that was kind of my main issue with Typewriter, was like, okay, I need to create dialogue inside of it, but then I also need to localize it. And so I would need to, create an entry for Typewriter, and then I'd have to create an entry for the localization system. Currently, the way it works is that once you pick your entry here, which the entry that you want to refer it to, they are synchronized between each other. So if I edit this text message here, you can see that this also updates, and it works the other way around. And same goes for the key. And similarly, when I now add a new dialogue, it will automatically create a new entry for me. So I don't really need to worry about, creating this manually. And it's kind of neat. Though if I remove it, it doesn't remove maybe it should. I need to think about this. When I remove it, it doesn't remove the entry, because I don't know if it was on purpose. But that should be easy to add. Does Typewriter use Safekeeper to save its states during runtime? Yes. The way it works is that blackboards are being saved to the save system. It's I don't really have a nice way to visualizing this, I think. Oh, we can actually see it here. So we can see that the current scene metadata contains the visit count and the current scene, which is the scene that got resolved. And similarly, area also contains a blackboard. So this is how it works. Now we loaded another save, and this the visit count here is different. It's 59. Now we go back here. Now it's 68 instead of 67. And now this is 60, right? But Typewriter itself doesn't really know about the existence of Safekeeper. It's all done through... Typewriter only knows what a blackboard is. The fact that a blackboard is being saved through the Safekeeper, it's outside of this knowledge. Yeah, okay, I feel like that's all I wanted to talk about when it comes to Cartographer. So I can now answer your questions, as I promised. Oh, I'm reading through all of your messages. With Astortion's architecture relying on Unity assets like scenes and scriptable objects, it would be difficult to implement user-generated content. Technically, not really, in my opinion. You just need a proxy. If you can create something that can read a custom file format from the disk and be like, oh, so this means instantiate this prefab, I don't think it should be that difficult. I was thinking about this, actually. I think I talked about this so many times, because that's it's a very common question I get from people. Oh, is there gonna be a level editor? The answer is not at the release. I am willing to experiment with that after the release, but definitely I don't want to increase the scope right now. I don't want to be like, oh, you need to wait another year because I want a level editor. And from my initial quick experiments, it seems that it would be easy to add it later. It's not something that I need to account for, if that makes sense. But I may be making a video about that in the future, about the level editor. before I make the actual level editor, but about my approach to how I'm planning to do that in the future. But yeah, level editor would be sick. Absolutely. I'd love to have it. In my opinion, level editor, waste of time, too much work, and not necessary. Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's something that I would like to invest my time after the game is released. And of course, after it's a huge success, right? Obviously, if the game is a disaster, and I'm gonna try to not mention it anymore ever again. How far are you into the game? In terms of the systems that I need, I'm practically finished. The last thing I need is a ability system to, you know, unlock new abilities as you progress through the game. Other than that, I'm practically starting the content creation phase. But when it comes to like actual playable content, it's like the beginning, very beginning. Things like mod support is something you need to plan in advance. See, this is where I differ, but I said that already. I think Unity has plugins for Steam Workshop integration. Yeah, but you still need to probably somehow integrate with that. Something I should research probably. Might you make a level editor to speed up your own level creation? I don't think it works this way, to be honest. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna top Unity's editor. It's like, no matter what I create, it's not gonna be that flexible. We have 40 people watching you talk about the ones and zeros that make the game happen. I think the game will be a success. I don't know how to interpret that message. In the video, you mentioned you were working in 3 phases. Which phase would you say you're in? We're at the end of phase 2, right before the content creation, visuals, audio, and stuff like that. So why did you choose Unity over Godot or Unreal, but Unreal's 2D is bad? So I talked about that in my initial devlog. Currently, I still believe that Unity is the best engine for what I want Astortion to be, mostly because I need the scriptable render pipeline. I cannot imagine switching to an engine that doesn't give me that sort of flexibility. Because I have a huge plans for that, and you're gonna see that hopefully soon. But yeah, like my main reason for choosing Unity was that I was familiar with it. You know, I know C#, I know Unity, and I don't know Godot at all, and I don't know GDScript at all, right? Stuff like that. And also, my huge issue with Godot, I mean, it's like my issue with me, myself. Like, I like about Unity the fact that people have proven that you can make amazing games with it, right? Like Hollow Knight, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Disco, Elysium, stuff like that. And with Godot, it's like what I'm missing with Godot is this reassurance. It's like one very good game made with Godot that was a success, and like, look, we can make games with Godot. Like, I'm still waiting for something like that to happen. Now, as I said in the first devlog, again, like, I'm interested in trying out Godot. I'll definitely experiment with it once Godot 4 is released. But when it comes to Astortion, it's Unity all the way down. I'm gonna, you know, I'm not planning on switching engines, and I'm gonna finish it with Unity. I'll buy 5 copies if it helps the game succeed. Artificial renderer pipeline. Maybe. I don't know if I'm gonna create an entire render pipeline, but definitely a custom renderer. I've been researching that recently. By recently I mean yesterday at 4 a.m. Because I got into the sign distant fields rabbit hole and how they can be used to generate 2D shadows. And I was like, kind of interesting. Unity seems to be popular for cross-platform. Any plans on phone and other platforms? Consoles may be in the future, but that's also after the release. Phones, definitely not. It's not. I don't think Astortion is like a mobile game suitable for being a mobile game. Is it available only in Steam? I mean, if there are any other platforms that you would like to see Astortion on, I mean, platforms as in stores, I'm open for suggestions. Currently, I just created a Steam page because, a lot of people are like, oh, you need to have a Steam page and gather wish lists. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a Steam page. And now we have a Steam page. It's currently my my situation right now. Hi, Artificial, remember me? I don't. I'm sorry. Should I? No, I'm not sure. Why should I remember you? It's gonna bother me. Wait, there's a Steam page. No, don't do that to me. Of course there's a Steam page. I comment on all of your videos. Give me a second. I'm fact checking that. I do remember a few people that are really often commenting, but recently I had to stop reading all the comments because there's just too many of them, and I feel bad because of that. But also I feel like that's just the point where it had to happen. I'm sorry, a while, Kev, but I found only one comment from you. I don't know, maybe YouTube is shadow banning you or something. Anyway, top 10 anime betrayals. Planning to make a native Linux build or just let Proton do its thing? Oh, I haven't thought about that. I need to do some research on that. I don't know. Bro, I promise I have. I believe you. I totally believe you. Maybe YouTube is just messing with this. Just I can show you proof. You don't need to show proof. I believe you. No, don't. I'm not. I'm not being serious. Don't worry about it. When you start to make something, you'll understand which one fits your preference. It's your creativity, your experience. Game dev is not easy task actually, but engine itself can make it more easier. How many wishlists does Astortion already have? 5,300, I believe. Recently hit 5,000. I don't know if it's not much. I believe the conversion rate is 1 to 5%, right, for indie games. So it's what, 50 people? I remember you were checking music around, what style of scores you're looking for your game. There's gonna be an announcement about that. I'm working on it, don't worry. It's gonna be, because I'll be looking for a composer to compose music. Since I've seen a lot of people doing this approach where they organize the entire community to make music, I personally would love to find one person and just give them all the creative freedom they want and be create the score, and of course share the profits, right, obviously, from the game. That's something that I would love to do. Is any possible way to try out Motion Canvas because Patreon is not available from Russia? Well, currently not really, because I mean, if YouTube memberships are available, you can join as a member if that's possible. Otherwise, I don't really do any sort of like direct, stuff, because I would lost track of it. Like currently, I don't even have an integration between Patreon and GitHub, and I need to like manually maintain a Google Sheet with all the people, and it's a nightmare. I need to do something about that. So yeah, I don't want to add to that. But I really hopeful when it comes to the release of Motion Canvas that it's gonna happen like next month. I really want it to, because it's been a long time since the Patreon release. 5% conversion just means we all need to buy 20 copies. Exactly. Congrats on those wishlists. Thanks so much to you all. Will you announce on YouTube or Twitter or something? I'm gonna announce it on YouTube and on Twitter and on Discord. Don't need to worry. You're gonna. I can write you a direct message as well. I can make sure that you're not gonna miss it. Unity makes porting to Linux relatively easy, no? Yeah, and on paper, right? That's kind of their thing. We'll see. What are your plans for marketing? Have you considered getting a publisher to help you with it? No. I mean, no, I haven't considered it yet. I'd have to think about this. There's a lot of things. You're asking a lot of questions that require thinking that I haven't done yet. So I don't want to answer them like right now, because I'm going to say something stupid. Gotta have dinner, pizza time, bye. Bye-bye. I don't actually know how to say... Hold on a second, I need to educate myself. Enjoy your meal. Okay. All right. I need to remember that. I already imagine Distortion's soundtrack. Astortions, I'm assuming it's autocorrect. Hopefully you didn't misspell the name of the game. Soundtrack in the same style as the music used in videos. Well, I've used a lot of styles in my videos. I feel like my style really changed. Like I remember having like this peaceful guitar in the background. Then I remember having some like really bass only kind of music. Bass, excuse me. It's not bass, it's bass, I think. So yeah, I don't know. Hey, can you send a private message to me when you're announcing for music? Well, I know Magnogen, excuse me if I mispronounce your name, because they're on the Discord server. So I know them. I can message them, but I don't know you. So unfortunately, but if you join the Patreon for as little as $1 a month, I also enabled yearly payments recently, so you can save yourself a 60% off of the usual price if you go for like a yearly subscription. I'm such a sellout. Oh my god, what am I saying? Sorry if you were already asked that before. Where are you from? This is not a private information. You can find that. You're 2 clicks away from finding that out. I'm from Poland. Put some music on. No, I can't do that. It's like, no, I don't. I hate that. Absolutely do. Playing music. Look, I'm weird. It's the thing where like people ask me like, oh, play some music, and I need to pick the music that I want to play. I can't do that, like mentally. It's impossible, unfortunately. But I'm also in the Discord, and I'm like, oh yes, you are. Okay, excuse me. All right, that's because you have a different name, you know? Because Magnogen, excuse me again for mispronouncing your name, has the same avatar and the same name everywhere, and it's like, it's so recognizable. But yes, you are in the Discord too. I can I can tag you as well. Everyone is gonna make a living. You're not a sellout. Yes, I know, but it's like, I don't know. It's just weird. I need to get used to that. I am too. Remember me. I'm gonna auth all, okay, on our Discord server. So yes, what about music? As we said before, I'll be looking for a composer, and I'm gonna offload the whole responsibility of creating music onto them, give them creative freedom, and share profits with them from the game. It's generally the idea. So I'm not gonna probably even taking care of it. But I'll be announcing that in the future. I gotta go. Thanks for answering some of my questions. No problem. I hope I answered them like a reasonable way. Hydrogen, Magnogen, but you can just call me Mag. Okay. Assume that it's a Mag with a hard G and not Maj. Yep. Okay. Nice to meet you. It's amazing. You didn't answer my question about your audio. How do you get it so clear? You mean about, you're talking about videos or the live stream right now? Face reveal? No way. You ain't ready for my beauty. In general, I don't do anything with audio really. Currently, I have a microphone, and it's a USB microphone, so it's not even, that high quality. Yeah. I do some mastering in Audition, usually, from like the preset that's called Make Room for Vocal, and that's pretty much it. Where a link for Discord could be found. Unfortunately, it's Patreon only as of right now. Which microphone? Oh my god. I don't know. Hold on. It's called NC1, if that makes sense. It's like my friend helped me choose it. He was like, this is a good microphone and it's pretty cheap. You should buy it. It's Novox NC1, black USB. When is face reveal happening? Why do you need... Well, listen, when... I can tell you when. When the guy from YouTube brings me my... what is the first one? Silver button? What's the first play button that you receive on 100K? Yes, it's silver, yeah. Yes, okay. Well, once a guy delivers me that, I'm gonna make a live stream and we're gonna unbox it together. Hopefully I'm gonna become irrelevant before that. Would you ever do a GDC talk? Of course. I don't deserve to have a GDC talk right now, but if I get to the point where I have so much game dev experience to have something valuable to say in a GDC talk, I'd love to have a talk like that. Maybe Twitch for that. For what? You need to provide some more context, because I have a memory of a goldfish. Did I miss the stream? Yes, the stream has ended. I mean, it hasn't ended yet, but we went through the cartographer and I'm just chatting. Hold on, maybe I can change the thing. You should stream more, definitely, because I'm bad at it. And I feel like I'm not getting better because the space between them is so large. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should switch to like every other week. What do people usually say at the end of the live stream? It's like, Live stream ended? No, what is the ending screen? Dogs or cats? Cats are cool, but they also jump on your furniture. Dogs are chill because they like always on the ground. I had to take care of my sister's cat recently for like a week because she was abroad, and I gave up after one day. I called my parents and I was like, "Can you take care of it? Because I just can't. I'm not capable of taking care of another living being, you know." How well can you draw a circle? Like, I'm gonna get it. Give me a second. It's impossible. It's a government's lie. You can't draw a perfect circle. We can't play God. I've tried streaming before and it's bloody difficult. You're doing a great job. I ran out of things to say in like 3 minutes. I'm currently drawing circles, but thank you for the compliment. What's your favorite color? It used to be green when I was younger. Currently, I'd say it's black, but when it comes to like saturated colors, then it's still green. Are you using a tablet or a mouse? I'm using a tablet. I'm using a 8-year-old Wacom Intuos S, I believe. I bought it for my first money earned by selling Minecraft rigs on the internet. I remember that vividly. How well can you draw on? How well can I pronounce that word? Equilateral triangle. I can, guys. It's impossible. Hey, 4 a.m. I'm here for stream for once. Welcome. Did you just wake up or are you staying up late? I saw a question. Hold on a second. This might be a bad question, but what is your opinion on object-oriented programming? I don't have any strong opinions on that one, to be honest. I like it. That's it. No, but I really appreciate other types of programming. I recently have been fixated about Bevy, which is a Rust open source game engine. And it's based on the entity component system architecture, which is like, more of a data-oriented approach. And I love it because it's it shows you that things can be done differently, right? Essentially, especially when you've been using object-oriented programming since the very beginning and you kind of have this mindset, and then you see it done differently. Like I've seen they're using ECS for the UI. If you were to tell me that you can do that, I would laugh in your face like a month ago. But then I saw it and I was like, oh my God. It's like life can be different. So I guess as with anything, it's like, you need to, it's just a tool. You need to apply a correct tool to the correct problem. I am up late. Okay. C# is object-oriented programming. It is, but it's also, it's not, you could make an argument it's not as object-oriented programming like as Java, for instance, right? Java doesn't even have functions. In C# you do have functions. You have the link-U system is very like functional, you'd say. I think it's rarely the case where a language is like purely following one idiom. How did you learn graphic design? If you purposefully did it in the first place, love the graphics in your videos, very aesthetically pleasing in a pretty unique style. Thank you. I haven't learned it on purpose precisely. There's this thing. Now I can show you because I'm showing a circle. Hold on, we're going back. So I wanna show you something interesting about design in general. So a few years ago, Google came up with their material design, and they have this entire documentation about their design system. Currently it's version 3. Back in the day, I think I was reading through the first version documentation, and it's just so interesting to read, just like randomly being like, okay, navigation, understanding navigation. And, we have all I've read through all of this for no apparent reason, just because I liked it. And there's a lot of interesting principles that I'm trying to apply whenever designing the components. Like a very simple idea, like the fact that everything should be based on a grid. So you for example, you pick 8 pixel for your grid, and then everything has to be a how do you say that? A multiple of 8. And it makes everything look much more coherent and much more consistent. It's one example, but there's a lot. I'd love to use Bevy enough to be comfortable enough to jam with it. That would be interesting. But that would have to be like a week-long jam, I think. I don't think it's suitable for like 2 days. Although who knows? Maybe if you're good enough. I personally can't wait till it's production ready, but oh my god, it's gonna take them, I'm assuming, years. I wish I could just like start making an actual game with it and be like, hey, I'm gonna finish it. Material design done right is lovely, so intuitive. Yeah, I agree, I really like it. Looking back at the very first iteration, it looks kinda right? It's really like sweet, candy-like, kind of, really colorful. But currently where they're at, it's really, really good, and I love it. Absolutely. Have you ever done work on neural networks or AI? No, I have not. I've seen a few videos about neural networks, and that's pretty much it. I know that Sebastian recently, right, I think like 2 days ago or yesterday, released a video about that. I've yet to watch it. My experience with programming languages is that there's a trade-off between how much control you have over how the code works and ease of use. Yeah, definitely. It is kind of apparent, right? When you take a look at languages such as Java and C# versus like C++ or Rust, which are much more complex, but it's because you're on a lower level, right? You have much more control over the memory and whatnot. And then on the opposite spectrum, we have like JavaScript and Python, which are really simple to use, but also not particularly well suited for certain things. Material design, this is web related, right? Material design is Google's design system for Android initially, if I'm pronouncing Android. I don't know if I say that correctly, but it is also has been translated to web as well. That trade-off is more important than whether it's OOP or not. I mean, yeah, I think so. Hey, Jacob, hello. They have some ready-made CSS stuff you can use. They're nice. Android. Okay. Anyways, I gotta go. Best of luck with the rest of the live stream. Thanks so much, and see you. I'm kind of scrolling through the chat, seeing if I missed any questions. When's the next devlog? Sorry if that's an annoying question. Oh, probably at the end of the month. My current schedule is like 1 video a month is my target. But to be honest, I don't have an idea for it yet. What I'm currently working on is not yet ready. So maybe I'll go back to some other aspect of Astortion and talk about that. It's too hot to be in the same room as my PC, so I'm gonna dip. Thanks for the stream. No problem. Next stream, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye. Gotta go too. Also bye-bye. When did you start programming? I talked about this during the previous live stream, but in short, when I was like 16 years old, Autodesk Maya had this language called Mel for automating stuff. And this was my first language. This is when it started. I just wanted to pop in and say your TV videos, your YouTube videos. I don't know why I read it like this. Your YouTube videos are really great and I love what you do. Keep the good work. Thank you so much. Why use Unity if you change so much stuff? Maybe use more bare bones, low level engine would have the same effect like Allegro or something like that. Well, you know, I'm 2 years into the development. It's not a discussion that we can really have right now. If I were to pick again, I don't know. Like, you need to also consider the experience aspect of it, right? When I started 2 years ago, I had no experience making games. And if you take a look at my first videos, you'll notice that I try to use more of Unity's features and not try to come up with something of my own. Now that I'm kind of know more in terms of game development, maybe I could do that, but like, you know, it's not something that I can do right now. I want to understand the choice itself. Yeah, like, again, important aspect. The choice was made 2 years ago with next to no experience in game development. So being like, oh, I'm gonna use a bare bones framework, it's kind of scary back then. Unity is super nice for custom tools though. Yeah, I love that aspect. And a lot of people don't really like it, and ever since UI Toolkit has been rolled out, it's just, my God, amazing. I love it. What percentage of your time do you focus on working on the game tools versus making videos? Making a video is like 5 days out of my life every month. The rest is game dev / motion canvas. I'm interested in pixel games development. Your videos give great insight and I'm gonna go through them again, but do you have any tips on other places to start from? Unfortunately, no. I'm kind of guilty of not researching stuff before I start working on something. So usually I, like with the, what's the name of it? Next generation pixel art video. Like, I admit I could have done more research in this aspect before starting, because I essentially was like, I want to do this and I'm gonna hit my head on the wall until it starts working, if that makes sense, instead of like seeing, hey, maybe other people have done it already. But yeah, I don't really have any resources on that. Managing all of the asset pipeline is non-trivial. What kind of games do you play? Any favorite game recently? Oh no, you got me. That's the thing about me. I rarely play games. I don't remember when was the last time. I think, hold on, I'm thinking. Far. It was a game, right? Long Sails, something like this. Oh, hold on, what's the name of this game? That was the last game I finished. I have Lone Sails. I have a lot of games on my list to play, but I never have the time because I wanna, do something. I can just like spend time playing games, and it's stupid, I know, because I should play games and I should learn from them as a game developer, but I can't force myself. Just popping in to say that I love the work you're doing. Binge watched all of your devlogs in one go and looking forward to more technical videos. Thanks, I'm really happy you enjoyed them. Artificial 3 is a gaming channel now. That's what we're gonna do. Next live stream, we're gonna play games. I believe I have Disco Elysium bought on Steam. It's waiting for me because I've heard so many good things about it. I also have Red Dead Redemption 2, another great game, is also waiting for me. And the problem is that I'd love to play what was the name of the game? The new Bloodborne game. Why don't I remember? Elden Ring. Yeah, Elden Ring feels like a game, even though I've never played any other Souls game. Elden Ring feels like a game that I would enjoy. But then again, I don't. It's like 100 hours out of my life. It's a lot. Elden Ring, yes, exactly. It's not gaming, it's game analysis. It's productive in that view. Yeah, but I certainly should start playing games. I should be like, dedicating an hour a day, for instance, at least, to play a game. If you spend that time streaming, it feels more productive that way too. What a boring stream that would be, though. I can't imagine. Do you feel like there's a requirement for your game to be a commercial success, or is the community support enough to keep you going without worrying about that? Yes. If you actually go back to my first devlog, I said that, and you have nothing against me. I said that the game's probably gonna be bad because it's my first game, and it has been stated, it's on record. So I'm not really worried about, Astortion being a huge success. There is some pressure from the fact that I see a lot of people being, invested into the game, and it kind of makes me feel like I do need to make it a good game, right? And I'm gonna try to do that. But again, I'm really not worrying about the success of the game. Even if I'm gonna release it and only a few of my viewers are gonna buy it and enjoy it, for me that's success right there. It's also different to play games strictly to analyze mechanics versus playing a game just to relax. Is that true? But I've never done something like this, but I assume it would be really difficult to not forget, about the fact that you're meant to analyzing the game. You're not meant to enjoy it. With your sense of humor and the occasional remark on game design, a game stream could be very fun. We can try that. I think the value you're getting out of all the things you're learning, all of the tools you're developing, and all of the content you're creating far outweighs any game success or lack thereof. I think that too. The point isn't to make a good stream, the point is to trick your brain into allowing yourself to enjoy a game, and if you need to feel like you're being productive, to do that. I see. How long have we been streaming for, by the way? Can I see that? Oh yes, 1 hour and 36 minutes. Hey, I'm back. Have you played Minecraft? Don't, hold on. Don't, I can't express myself. Never mind, forget about it. Forgot what I wanted to say. That's why I started streaming. Interesting. Here's a little trivia about myself. I've never finished Minecraft. Now that you've mentioned it, I've never like defeated the dragon, and I love Minecraft. Don't get me wrong. I've spent countless hours on this game, but I was always like the redstone guy, like, you know, creative mode. So that would be a cool idea for a stream, like defeat the dragon for the first time. Minecraft speedrun when. I'm always trying to do that with my friends whenever we're playing. We're like, okay, Minecraft speedrun, we're going straight for the dragon, and we're like 2 hours in, and we're barely in the nether. Build a CPU in Minecraft Redstone and code Astortion on it. This is obviously the answer. This is the only game engine that you need, Minecraft. Exactly, yes, the ultimate game engine, Minecraft. Why doesn't that surprise me? I always get lost in Redstone for like 8 hours, then think aloud, why am I doing this and not just doing game dev? Same with Gary's Mode or Factorio. Yeah. All of the 2010s Redstone engineers are now system engineers or programmers. It do be like that. Well, we know the first video of Artificial 3. Oh, okay. Should wonder if there's a limit to how many channels I can create with one account. So remember, it used to be a thing where you needed a phone number to verify your account in order to upload videos that are longer than 15 minutes. I think that was the case. Well, that was years ago. Why is your name Artificial? Why not? Listen, I said that already. I was young and I was stupid, and Artificial 17, this again. My name is Artificial because I like words that start with an A. If you couldn't tell, with like Astortion and The Architect and Alice and Artificial. And I was thinking to myself, okay, I like words that start with an A. I like the word artificial, but it's stupid to name your channel just like a plain English word. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why would you do that? This is so unoriginal. And I was like, okay, so there's this name, I believe like Aaron can be spelled with 2 A's at the beginning, and Arthur can be alternatively spelled with TH, right? So it's like, I'm gonna apply this to the word artificial, and we now have artificial. And people, whenever somebody mentions me in a YouTube video, they're like, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I pronounce that the same way I pronounce artificial, by the way, if you're wondering. Yes, I notice your addiction. By any chance, do you own an Amazon Alexa? Amazon Alexa. I don't know how to pronounce these words. My god. No, but that would be very soothing, wouldn't it? Aaron, yeah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this name correctly, but that's the name I'm talking about. Doom Mustard. Is your favorite animal the aardvark? I'm googling it, and I'm probably gonna regret it. What is this? Oh, okay. It's the thing that eats ants. I don't have a favorite animal. I don't think so. Having all your stuff start with an A makes it easy to look it up in a dictionary, lol. Yeah, I'm on the top of every Discord server, by the way, because my name starts with 2 A's. There's only if somebody has like a number in their name, they're above me. No, that's an anteater. Yes, that's a different. Okay, because I looked up a Polish translation for that. Yes, these are two different things. I got confused because they start the same. I should probably end it in an A question mark when I do that, since it makes it more clear. Oh, okay. It was a question. I get it. Listen, I'm slow. Okay. You need to talk to me with like full sentences, full context provided. This guy randomly discovering words that begin with the letter A is now the highlight of my thing. Time to drop our favorite words. Yes, what is your favorite word that starts with an A? Meanwhile, me, who usually changes my name to Magnogen, I remembered, .exe. I'm 4 parallel universes ahead of you. You haven't changed that on our Discord server, though, have you? See, now I don't believe you. No, I'm kidding. Unless you have, and I don't remember. Anti-digestible-ish mentarianism. Some combination of that sounds. Alele. And ah. No, wait, I have you lied to me. I have you lied to me. What? Who lied to whom? Oh no, don't look at my Discord. You changed this name like a second ago. I refuse to believe that it was always this way. Well, I need to change to our circle. Feel safer with my screen. Why am I shouting? I don't know. I can confirm it was like that before. Okay. Assume that I believe you. I've considered boosting the Discord to be the only one with the boost badge. So I don't know. You're talking to me. I understand the words that you're saying, but I have no idea how Discord works. And what would boosting do? Perfect circle. Here, now we have an ending screen. I moved it to another monitor and now I can't use my tablet. Stream, it says stream. Don't bully me. Nice stream. So I've lost ability to write ages ago. I'm shaking and laughing right now. I'm shaking and crying. Stream ending. Steez, you're late to the party. I fixed that already. You're not allowed to laugh at me anymore. Thanks for the stream, Jacob. It was fun hanging out for the end. Yes, it was. I agree. Thank you for being here. Any interest in doing 3D projects? In the future, yes. Actually, my dream game is like a 3D game. But not yet. Thanks for all the great content too. No problem. Okay, but yeah, we've been streaming for quite a while. See, I can't talk anymore. I kinda looked off stream, but it was fun listening. Thanks. Happy to hear that. Yeah, so this is the final goodbye, I guess. I never know how to end these streams. I don't know how people do that. Let's do it quickly this time, okay? I don't read the live chat anymore. It was great having you all. Thank you for sticking by, surviving this mess of a stream. And we're gonna see each other maybe 2 weeks from now. Maybe I will actually stream 2 weeks from now. I'll have to think about this. You'll be informed. Check the community tab, the main source of information. Or follow me on Twitter. Maybe I should start posting on Twitter as well, now as I think of it. Yeah, goodbye everybody. Bye-bye. Casual dev streams. I think about this. I don't know if I'm capable of doing anything live, to be honest. We can try. We'll meet each other soon. Maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in a month. Who knows? Thank you for sticking by. You said you wouldn't read anymore. Got me. Okay, stream ending. Goodbye. Have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are.